Hey, how's it going, guys? Nate here. And the decisive failure of the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer, in comparison to the astounding success that the Battlefield 1 trailer has seen, signify and set in motion a pretty big shift in tone for the attitude of the gaming industry. Now, this attitude shift isn't just new. It's not a new thing. It's been there for a while. People have been getting more and more fed up with the current futuristic or modern-esque FPS games that we've been seeing. But these two trailers stacked next to each other really highlight that and send a pretty clear message to the rest of the industry and developers in particular. The Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer has now far exceeded 1 million dislikes, becoming the worst received trailer and worst received gaming video ever seen on YouTube, whereas the Battlefield 1 trailer, in contrast, which takes place in a World War I setting, is doing pretty successful, quite surprisingly so, compared to its futuristic-esque counterpart inside of Infinite Warfare. And mind you, that Infinite Warfare game is including a Call of Duty 4 remaster, which still apparently could not give it enough redemption, per se, in the eyes of gamers. So exactly what does this mean? And that's what we're going to be talking about today, whether or not this trend is going to mean anything, whether or not it's going to be different this time. Because again, as mentioned before, this is not the first time people are calling for change in this general direction, in this time frame that we're seeing now, but it's definitely the first time we've actually seen the industry as a whole, really, and gamers as a whole, have actually kind of said something and made their voice heard in a particular way. Previously, there was no real way they could have done this, and when they tried to, typically their actions represented otherwise. People still bought games like Black Ops 3, Advanced Warfare, and whatnot, so developers didn't really have a reason to second-guess themselves and question these decisions, but now they finally do, which is going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, these trailers only signify a potential shift. The real thing that's gonna really decide whether or not this change is set in motion, and whether or not developers' attitudes towards the current time settings are going to be changed, is going to be completely dependent on sales and server playtime. So if Infinite Warfare is somehow successful, if the game does well, if it gets a lot of sales, if its servers are well populated in comparison to its Call of Duty 4 remaster counterpart, then it's likely that we're going to see at least some more of this futuristic, modern-esque FPS titles. Whereas if Call of Duty's Infinite Warfare fails miserably, if it does poorly in sales, if its servers are underpopulated, whereas Battlefield 1, the World War II shooter, or World War I shooter, I'm sorry, does very well, if the Battlefield 1 servers are populated, they're active, the game sells enormously, then it's possible that developers like Activision will say, hey, maybe we should reconsider what time zones and what time frames we're really putting these games in, whereas developers like EA and DICE are going to say, hey, this worked out very well. Let's keep doing what we're doing for now, right? So altogether, the trailers themselves don't really mean anything. No studio is going to change their game or start making a new game based on what a trailer had to say. However, what these trailers do serve as is a bit of an accurate way to predict exactly how the community is going to receive these two games once they fully launch. How many sales are they going to get? How populated are their servers going to be? These trailers give us a little bit of a way to predict that to a degree, and they also highlight the level of frustration that much of the community is currently facing towards the direction that current FPS games are set in time-wise, towards the futuristic exosuit sort of thing. So it's likely that we could see a return to World War I to past tense games from the Call of Duty industry. It's likely that DICE and EA will continue to stay in a past time frame with World War I and World War II. But there's another title that I have yet to discuss, and that is Titanfall. Because Titanfall will be coming out sometime late 2016, and it's going to be released on both the PS4 and Xbox One. And I just can't get over how bad I feel for their developers right now. Because unlike Infinity Ward, which, albeit was kind of taken by surprise with this futuristic thing, I mean, they don't really have a means to fall back on, you know? Titanfall can't go to World War I, that's not gonna work out. They can't do anything like that. At least Call of Duty has a safety net, you know? They can rely on their remasters to carry them through Infinite Warfare, and then they can go back to a previous game and include another remaster just to guarantee their survival. Whereas Titanfall, it's kind of like, oh god, cross your fingers and hope everything's okay. So I'm interested to see how it's gonna work out for that. Not a lot of people have brought that up, and I thought I wanted to in this video. But altogether, something that this also kind of, I guess you can say, bringing into light, if everything goes as planned, if Infinite Warfare fails, if Battlefield 1 is a ballin', so to speak, I wonder if this is a cycle now. I really do, because a few years ago, maybe back in 2007, 2006, people were saying the same things we're saying about Infinite Warfare and futuristic games, that there were about World War II, you know? The Medal of Honor franchise and the Call of Duty franchise prior to COD 4, they were all based in World War II, and they were the only real FPS games you really had access to at the time that were mainstream. They were the big ones. They were all World War II things, you know? Until 2008, everyone was in World War II, and they were kind of getting fed up with it. They were like, hey, give us something new, we want something better. And then COD 4 came out, and it kind of did that for them. And then, if you don't remember, the World at War game came out. It was again based in World War II. People were frustrated with that. That game got received poorly. And now I wonder if we're back in that cycle. I wonder if we're going to like World War II games again, and then we're going to get sick of them and ask for something new and get that back. Because I think we've hit pretty much every time frame you can go to in terms of FPS, you know? There weren't any guns pre-1800s, unless we're going to be, like, playing Call of Duty Punic Wars or something, which, you know what? I kind of like how that sounds, but there aren't really any more periods to go to. You've got future, you've got present, you've got midway through the past, and that's about it for FPS titles. So I wonder if we're going to go back to these World War I games, and then we're going to call for something new. It's just going to be an infinite cycle, or if that's going to be broken by a different genre. Maybe we're going to start playing like games like Ark and DayZ, and we're just going to leave the FPS franchise and titles, or franchisees, I guess you can say, if we're just going to leave those behind and go on to something new. This interests me, whether or not FPS games can maintain their current position as the dominant titles available on both consoles, and they're doing pretty well on PC as well. So I'm interested to see what happens in the future. These two trailers definitely raise some pretty interesting questions that I'd like to know the answers to, but probably won't for a good another year or two. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like on it down below. If you disliked the video, leave a dislike down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace, everyone.